can.
Okay.
So,
All right, we'll end it.
We cycle around this earth in times of need to do things that have to be there for the greater good. But you're storing information so you can access it.
Okay.
And it's wise because if you lose your phone, you got your pictures because they're stored in the cloud and not in your phone.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just got to figure out how to get my phone, get my pictures back from the cloud.
Well, if you stored them there. Anyway, so we're talking about fasting, and I got in trouble last week after we talked 2 weeks ago because we got off topic, and here we go.
I get off topic with everybody.
And so in the topic of fasting and why the eye doctor is here talking to you about fasting and why I promote this is I am I tell people, until you fire me by not coming back, I'm going to do a great job. You can't make me not do a great job. And there's been no one in 31 years of playing eye doctor who sat in my chair and said, I'm glad I'm blind or half blind. Nobody. And you laugh, but I'm serious because I see stuff all the time that is, a lot of it's avoidable. And most of our problems are self-inflicted because we eat too much, too wrong, and too often. Okay. So if you take too much and make it less, too wrong and make it not wrong, and too often and make it less often, you're going to be healthier. It's proven over and over and over and over again that the healthiest, from the lab mice in a cage to human beings on this earth, are the people who consume the fewest calories, and when they do them, they're quality, healthy calories. All the good books, all the religious books, you got names on them, the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, the this, that, and the other. All of these books that have been thoughtfully considered over the ages by great, great, wonderful, well-intended people, they all talk about fasting. It's for cleansing. It's not just sacrifice. It's cleansing.
Well, go back to the time of Christ. He believed in fasting.
Well, right. And the reason you fast, and we talked about this a little bit the other time, on the other visit, was it's mental purity. When you're burning energy, and you think of it as like I talked about, a burning tire or something like that with all this exhaust, there may be heat or energy coming out of that burning tire, but it comes at a huge price of all the exhaust. And if you're burning pure alcohol, you can't even see the flame, so there's no exhaust. So the closer we get to burning energy, because we need energy to live, our bodies don't live without energy, that with the lowest exhaust component to it, the less toxic byproducts, the better off we are. And you do that by eating, you don't eat too much, too wrong, and too often. Fasting is part of that, too often. And we've been told to eat. Now, there's some diets that work for some people where they eat every 2 hours and they have a golf ball's worth of food. Right. The problem is when that person wants to have a basketball's worth of food and they go, I can't lose weight. And there's, I won't deride that, but so much to say that my experience has been when the person can recalibrate their body to have deserts, period of time, not deserts, but a desert, a drought in what goes in their gut. So their body can start reclaiming the stored fat, can get rid of the toxins in the body, and then burn energy with the least exhaust. And that's what fasting does. People will sit here and think they need to jump in both feet and not eat for 2 days in a row. And that's one extreme that you probably shouldn't pursue on the front side. And then other people think they should be celebrated because they went 2 hours in the day without eating. And so you have to work yourself out of that. So as a consummate teacher and the guy who uses a lot of similes and metaphors, the fasting, if you picture the exhaust, when you have that food in front of you, you ask yourself, is it a car tire or is it that, quote, pure alcohol with no exhaust? And we know that when we eat a lot of processed food, sugary food, high fructose corn syrup, trans fats, that it comes at a huge price of exhaust. And then we have disease, dis-ease. So as an eye doctor who sees people who have diabetic retinopathy and ischemic optic neuropathy and these glaucomas, a lot of these diseases are self-inflicted to a large extent, not all, so not everyone is don't raise your fist at me if it's not you, but it frequently is a consequence of caloric intake and the consequence of bad exhaust.
So can fasting on a regular schedule of fasting, not 2 days at a time, 12 hours at a time, can it eventually take the body to a healthier state?
Yes. And now most people who fast, quote, religiously, look at the monks in Tibet.
Right.
They'll have periods of water-only fast for longer periods of time, but they'll have daily fast, and they don't eat but in a window. Ramadan, the Muslim month of they don't eat from sunrise to sunset. You know, Christ in 40 days in the desert, 40 nights, he probably had water and whatnot. But so what happens to the body when it goes through this period of you're not putting stuff in the belly, it starts grabbing. Your heart still needs to beat. Your brain still needs to work. And between your heart and your brain, that's like 40% of the energy that you use on a daily basis. I mean, it's huge. And they're energy consumption pigs. You know, if somebody's bleeding out and all of a sudden their body's going to start shutting down their peripheral circulation to favor the big organs so you can survive. So we're always burning energy. And if you don't put food in, your body's going to start grabbing the side pockets on your hips and your belly and this, that, and the other. And it's going to use that. So you're getting rid of these unwanted toxins, these fat soluble toxins in the body. So that's a good thing to rid your body of those things. But something else you have to think about. Your body doesn't have enough energy available right now to have one more heartbeat. You know, that's stupid because if it just ran out, hey, we're out of stuff, and boom, you're dead. Your body's always taking out more than it needs and then puts it back in, and takes out more than it needs and puts it back in. And when that ratio of in and out gets tighter and tighter and tighter, you can starve to death, okay? But in the fasting realm, when you do that in and out and in and out, and you're repurposing something, so you're putting it in the closet, taking it back out. You're wrapping it up, putting it in the closet, take it back out and use it. And so these presents that are being put in the closet, called in your cells, for stored energy, every time they get rewrapped, they're wrapped prettier. They're less dirty. They're more like that burning the moon.
So every time you fast.
Every time you go through this period of fasting, because you're not putting in new products in your body to make energy.
Okay, somebody who doesn't fast, all of a sudden they come, they talk to you, they hear you here on the radio, and a light bulb goes off, and they think, okay, I think I'm going to try this.
Okay.
How do you start off? You obviously don't start off saying, all right, I'm not going to eat for 24 hours.
Okay, real simple. Since you slept all night, let's say you slept 8 hours, the word breakfast is break fast. So you move your breakfast to later on. And that's one way to do it. And so your first meal of the day could be at 10 or 12, and you skip breakfast. Some people say, I can't do that. I'm a mean person if I don't have breakfast. Then you have your breakfast early, and then you have your no lunch, and you have your dinner 2 hours before slumber, before you go to sleep again. Don't eat right before you go to bed.
Right.
And then you can find 2 12-hour periods there. So you pick one, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, get rid of it. And then, I counsel people and encourage people to, when you're going to skip a day, it's easy to skip Mondays. So you eat Sunday night, and Monday morning you wake up, you have your water, and you can, there's some things that aren't breaks of the fast, some, herbal teas and whatnot, because if you listen to Rhonda Patrick, if you go to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he interviews a lot of people, and there's this Dr. Rhonda Patrick. So Google or go to YouTube and put in Rhonda Patrick, Joe Rogan, and you can listen into that. And the other person I recommend all the time is Dr. Jason Fung, Fung, The Complete Guide to Fasting. Two great sources. There are others, but back to this the day you skip.
Does it have to be plain old water? I drink strawberry water.
Well, no, because strawberry water, what's in it? It's sugar. Okay, go read it. And so now you've technically broken your fast. So back to the day on the Monday. So you eat dinner on Sunday. You go to bed. You wake up, and you put up with the little rumbly in your tummy, and it says, "I need something." You go, "No, I don't," because if I was locked up in a cage somewhere, I'm not going to die in a day without eating. And you get through that, and you that whole day, and you eat Tuesday morning, and there is actually like a 36-hour fast. And or you can eat Monday night, and now you've done a 24-hour fast. And so maybe that's a place, that's a better place to start. You skip breakfast and lunch, and you find your cadence. You find that you work better because you have the results you're seeking, and by say I don't eat on Mondays. I fast most weekdays, and on the weekends I splurge a little bit because I'm hanging out with family doing the picnic thing. And but somebody else says, "Oh, I like to do it this way," and so there isn't one right way to fast. And just because you skip a week and you do that doesn't make you better, because if you go back on and you're hanging out at the donut factory, you wasted all your hard work. And so nobody's saying deny yourself treats, but they do come at a price, because cancer loves sugar. We've got this COVID thing going on, and who's dying? God bless anybody who's sick and dying and a family member who has. But the fact is, the news that I read and the doctor sites and whatnot that I visit, it tends to be older, poor immune system, overweight people. So the overweight causes inflammation, and this COVID stuff is an inflammatory disease inside the blood vessels. And so there's a price you pay for that buffet, for that food, that inflammation. Rheumatoid arthritis. I just had a gal in the office, and so interestingly, off topic but similar, she was on Plaquenil. I'm not recommending that people do this. It's just a story, a chairside chat.
What is Plaquenil?
The Plaquenil is for rheumatoid arthritis and used for COVID now. Okay. Hydroxychloroquine. And so she tried to get off her Plaquenil, and the pain came back, and she picked up this Thomas Gundry diet that's popular online. The guy who says don't eat tomatoes and pressure cook this, that, and the other. But she did that for a month or two, and then stopped her pharmaceutical drug. And she cites that she's now pain-free and Plaquenil-free. And so her chemistry set, again, let's assume that everything's true, okay?
Right.
Her chemistry set said, "Hey, you know what? I don't like these nightshades. I don't like this. And the way my body reacts to it, it causes inflammation to the point where I have this rheumatoid problem." And so it's a tool. It takes nothing for anybody who's inflamed to say, "You know what? I'm going to try this Gundry diet thing." And again, I haven't read 2 words on it, other than the fact that he purports that bodies don't like tomatoes and what's in them and whatnot. That doesn't mean that it's right for everybody. But maybe if you're that person, you try it. So back to the fasting, just go too much, too wrong, too often. How can I, taking care of my body and my life, wanting to have the least chance at dementia, the least chance at diabetes, the greatest chance for a viable, healthy life, maybe I can cut back too much. Maybe I can cut back too wrong, and maybe I can cut back too often. And when you do that, we have a healthier society. And people, the churches have to pray for fewer people because there are fewer people who are sick.
Who's gonna be left to shop at Walmart?
Well, there's good parts and bad parts of every store, but I'm sorry, there's a lot of that stuff just ain't right. And so
that's the basic statement right there.
And you got to be careful about offending people, but at the same time, nobody sits on my chair and says, I'm glad I'm half blind.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
And so it all starts from the dinner table. It starts from, working on, this book I have here, Nutrition, Diet in the Eyes. It's a huge treatise on all the eye diseases and how all of them, each one of them, individually or collectively, are affected by what goes in your mouth. And it's a great book, and I use it as a resource to show people when they have something, and well documented, and it's right there. So if you're building a room, you don't build it with Chinese drywall. So don't eat Chinese drywall. We want to have this nice body, but we make it out of bad raw materials.
So, as usual, time flies when you're in here. It just flies.
Well,
you stay more on topic.
yes, yeah.
So,
Today was a little better. We won't talk about